really, really look into what are you getting for proof? What are you using as proof? It's almost like you're looking at past events for approval, so you know that you can do this event.
If you believe you can be a speaker, it might also be based on a past self of, I used to be good at this, but I've stopped doing it for the last decade. And I've seen people on both ends, and that's why you're either going to get humbled or you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1007, Overcoming Peer Pressure and People Pleasing. That is a very tough title to say, a lot of alliteration, which I am a big fan of. Today, for episode number 1008, happy Monday, belief comes from proof. So as you may or may not know, Taryn, my wonderful fiance, and I are going to Colorado in August to elope. And I don't have a suit because I'm not a very fancy man and I have to get a suit. So I made an appointment at this really nice suit shop that is probably like 10 minutes from where we live. And I proceeded to go there. And I opened the door. And it was later in the day. It was a Saturday. It was Saturday, and I think they were only taking like one or two appointments, and I was one of them. So I opened the door, and when I walk in, it's this giant building, and it has a pool table, and it has shuffleboard, and it has a big screen TV, and it's like they have couches, and it's this really, really, really nice store. And the guy's like, Kev? And I said, yeah. And he said, hey, man, I don't remember his name. But he said, hey, nice to meet you. I'm going to be helping you today. You want a cocktail or, water or Coca-Cola or anything? And I was like, no, I'm good. What do you mean? He's like, yeah, just got a bar over there. It can get you like anything you need. I was like, okay, no, I'm good. Thanks. And I was very uncomfortable, like to the point where I wasn't sweating through my clothes, but I was very uncomfortable. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm having a conversation with somebody. I talk to people for a living. Like, why am I losing my mind right now? And I realized that I feel like a fish out of water in places that I've never been before. And I think that's fairly normal. And that's what we're talking about today. Okay, why do I not have a ton of belief in my ability to navigate through that situation of buying a suit? I've never done it before, to the point where I literally said to this gentleman, I said, I want you to treat me like I know nothing, because that is accurate. My awareness in this department is negative. I don't know anything. Taryn has given me some information. I don't know what else to do. So just tell me what you need from me. That you want me to do. Are we going to do fittings today? You want me to try some stuff on? Like, you let me know. And it was very much me going into student mode. And that makes me think, and this was like a really big thing for me when I was younger. So if you have listened to us for a long time, you may know that I used to work at the town gas station. I remember, Alan, the first time I went there, I don't even think, maybe it was my first day. I remember thinking to myself, I don't know, man, that gas pump looks pretty complicated. I don't know how that works. I don't know how any of that stuff works. This is going to be a huge thing. And I remember the first time I like picked up the gas nozzle, put it in a car and hit the button. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to be just fine here. This is pretty straightforward. This is really quite easy. But I didn't have any reps in that arena. I remember I told Alan one time, I said, I feel like Clark Kent in real life and I feel like Superman in the gym. Why? Because I have been to the gym, I don't know, thousands of times at this point. My belief, your belief, will come from the places that you're putting your time. And the weird thing that happens for many of us is we get stuck in this weird cycle where we lack belief. We don't have enough belief to try something. Therefore, we don't try something to get proof, and then that proves to us that we're not capable of doing it. So there's a lot of people out there that might be listening, and they might say, you know what? I'd love to be a speaker, but I don't believe it's possible. So your natural next tendency is to say, well, I'm not going to do that. If I don't believe it's possible, I'm not necessarily going to go look for opportunities to speak. But what if you did get that opportunity, you followed through, and it went better than you expected? I told somebody that today on a podcast. I said, in a weird way, one of the things that has really helped me the most is my anxiety. because I didn't believe it was possible to be a speaker. We ended up getting a speaking engagement. Alan's one of the big reasons I actually became a speaker. I over-prepped so much. I did my speech 6 or 7 times all the way through, where I knew at 23 minutes and 15 seconds, I should be right around this point of my story. Cool. We go. I was unbelievably nervous, gave the speech, and it went way, way, way better than I expected. So the next time I gave a speech, I had the proof of last time. And I think the next one I gave was actually garbage because I relied way too much on the proof and I didn't prep. I didn't do any prep. I relied all on that proof. So really think about this and ask yourself this question. Where do I have the most confidence in my life? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much proof do I have in that department? Where do I have the least confidence in my life? And vice versa. What are you laughing at?
Sorry. Huh? I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just got really itchy for some reason. It's like really hot in here. So I just started itching my eyebrows right in the middle of your story.
Alan and I have had a very humbling couple of weeks. As you can tell, my eyes are like barely open. It is 6/11 Saturday, and Alan and I have both done very, very heavy full weeks. Tomorrow is our first annual Next Level Hope Foundation event. So we'll be down in Worcester, Massachusetts on a beautiful Sunday. Hopefully it's going to be beautiful. So it's been a very humbling week. Stick around to the end. We have an announcement regarding all that.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is what I have written down. First of all, if you don't take action, you're never going to get the proof. So you can stay stuck forever if you're not careful. So if you don't have self-belief or self-confidence in your ability to do something, you almost have to just do it anyway and see how it goes. And I know that sounds really reckless, so obviously don't do that with really dangerous things. But, if you really are out there and you feel like you can't give a speech, it's not true. You can give a speech, no matter who you are. Maybe you can't give an extraordinary one yet, but again, this is all kind of made up in our head, because what do you consider extraordinary? And so I've witnessed Kevin time and time again take action prior to believing in himself and then realizing after the fact, wow, not only did I do better than I thought, but I actually might be better than most people at this. And I think that's really, really important. So whenever you take action, one of two outcomes is going to happen. You're either going to get humbled and it's going to go worse than you thought, in which case you probably did have a little bit of an inflated belief, and I've been there many, many, many times. Or you're going to take action and it's going to go better than you thought, and you're going to be like, holy crap, I believe in myself even more, which also means that you had a little less belief than you quote unquote should have. I think that action, I said this on book club and I said this on a virtual training recently. When you have really high goals and you really are chasing them, so one example of that is I wanted to exercise every day for a half an hour a day. And I wanted to beat my old record. My old record was 4.5 months. And so 30 times 4 is 120 days plus a half. So you're looking at 135 days straight. And I think it's 4.5 months. I'm not 100% sure. But Emilia asked me, she's like, did you break your record? Did you break your record? And I'm like, no, I'm only at 106 days. I've still got another month to go. And when you set a goal to exercise every day for a half an hour at least for 4.5 months straight, 5 in this case, trying to beat my record, it's very hard to be arrogant because you're so humbled by, I think in theory, and that's what this really comes down to, theory versus practice. In theory, Kevin didn't believe he could give a speech successfully. In practice, he could. In theory, we were going to do 4 events this year for Next Level Live, but in practice, we were like, that's probably not the best choice. So we got humbled. So no matter what, when you take action, you're going to get truth. And it's either going to humble you or it's going to help you believe in yourself even more. But if you don't take action, you're either going to stay overly confident or you're going to stay lacking self-belief. And I don't want that for anybody. I think massive action and momentum over everything. I really do. I know some people who believe they can do a lot, but they're all talk and no walk. And then I know some people who believe that they're capable of very little, and neither one of them is really accurate in that. And I think that I've been on both ends of that, primarily on the optimistic one. But I think the humility, I said this on the training, I said, it's very difficult to stay arrogant when you set really big goals. Like when you chase really big goals, it's very difficult to not get consistently humbled. And I was talking to Kev before this, like the scar tissue that we've created this year, tripling our revenue, tripling our team, tripling our business model, tripling the number of departments, tripling the number of clients, tripling the amount of impact and listens and episodes per week and all that stuff. And I don't think we tripled the episodes per week, but over the last 3 or 4 years, we've grown and scaled very, very quickly. And I'm very grateful. But the success, it comes with a lot of challenge, and the challenge is just so humbling. And so that's really the two sides of the coin here. You either believe in yourself more than the truth, or you believe in yourself less than the truth. And taking action, taking that next step, doing that next task, it's either going to humble you or it's going to make you realize you're better than you thought. And either way, you're going to get better because you're going to live more in the truth.
I was thinking of that story I told where Taryn and I went to the fair and I played that baseball game where I was trying to knock down the milk jugs and I was terrible. I wonder, I don't think you'd necessarily be a good example because I know you have a high level of belief, but I would venture to guess that my belief in that would probably be much, much, much higher than somebody who had never played baseball.
Of course.
Because I'm looking back at the proof of I was a pitcher, I was a shortstop, I played second base, I played third base. I can throw a baseball and hit that. That's not that hard. Versus somebody who said, and look at the proof or lack thereof. Oh, I never played sports in high school. There's no way I could do that. That's quite literally a completely different life. And this is the thing that a lot of people get locked into is somebody labels you as shy with no proof. And then that becomes your identity, and you're never able to or willing to try to disprove that. And that kind of goes directly what I said about speaking. I thought I was shy. I didn't think I was the type of person who was a speaker. And here we are, however many episodes later, and speeches and lives and all that later. You really have to ask yourself, where is the proof? Because I would say the episode is called Belief Comes from Proof, but I would say belief or lack thereof comes from proof.
Let me ask you this. Two things. The first one is, I think there's a little bit of a deeper layer here, which I now understand. You were tying your current abilities to a past version of yourself.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of time in between when you used to be good at throwing a baseball and now.
Time.
And I don't know how many baseballs you've thrown in the last decade, but I'm sure it's not many.
No, maybe
right?
a handful.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a handful. So that identity, which is the belief in self, was predicated on old competence, but it's not exactly like riding a bike necessarily, at least in the saying. That's the first layer. And I've done that too. It's almost like my belief in my current abilities is sometimes predicated because when we were doing live events, it was before COVID, when we had that train rolling. And coming into 2022, I thought I was basing it based on the past, not based on the current, because back then we didn't have clients, not as many. We didn't have nearly as many departments. We didn't have as big of a team. We weren't as busy. We didn't have, as much investment in our intimate relationships, and we didn't have homes and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like your belief is probably built on the past, even if it's belief or not. So if you believe that you can't be a speaker, it's probably based on a past self that was shy or was called shy. If you believe you can be a speaker, it might also be based on a past self of, I used to be good at this, but I've stopped doing it for the last decade. And I've seen people on both ends. And that's why you're either going to get humbled or you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Yeah. And then the second thing, this is the question that I have for you, Kev. I think that mathematically, I would do state and prove. I would, in math, there's something called a proof. And I always loved proofs, which it was kind of like, here's my theory, and let's go prove that that's true with the numbers. And I think I do that in my life. Like, I believe we can do X amount of events this year. Let's go prove it. And I'm motivated to prove it. Was that not the way in which you operated? So like when you did your bodybuilding show, was it like, I got to prove myself, or I want to prove that I can do this? Or was it, I don't think I can do this, let me give it a shot anyway? Like,
What's happening, guys? My name is Alex, and I am a professional videographer who runs a production company out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. The one thing that I love about working with Alan is that right away he was able to come in and set up a system for me that makes sure that I am taking charge of my time and I'm taking the actionable steps that I need in order to progress towards my goals on a day-to-day basis. He's always been great at giving me the information that I need exactly at the right time in order to progress to the next level when it comes to my business. And overall, I think he's just a great personality. When I get off the phone with him, I always find that I am energized. I know exactly where I need to focus my attention in order to progress, and I am getting the most out of what I do with my time.
Was State Improve the way you did things before?
No, it was very much. I was in the gym working out, and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing bodybuilding?" And I was like, "No, I just like working out." And they're like, "Well, here's this guy's number. I don't know, if you want to do bodybuilding, you should give him a call." And then I called up the guy. It wasn't my actual coach. It was somebody else. And I went and saw this coach, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're in really good shape. Like, you're not even dieting or anything." I said, "I'm dieting, but I'm not prepping for a show." And he said, "Oh man, you do really well at bodybuilding." And he ended up jeffing, and he was like super unreliable. Then I reached out to the coach who ended up coaching me, and it was kind of like right place, right time, and give it a shot and see what happens.
Okay. When you decided to be in shape, did you like say, "I'm going to go get in shape," and then do that? When did you decide to be in good shape?
I don't know that I ever did. I just always kind of was.
Okay. I think State Improve is how you build self-belief. I really do. I think that you decide in advance that I'm going to... But that's the problem. Why would you decide if you didn't believe it?
I think that what I always say, and I don't know if this is actual, but this is what it feels like for me. I think that you have to look at the most recent and relevant proof. And I think that this is why people get a little bit jeffed, because maybe the most recent proof you have is you went up to somebody and you said, "Hey, I think you're handsome or beautiful," and they ended up turning you down. So that's like your recent proof is, "Last time I did this, I got rejected. I don't believe that I can do it this time." And then I say, so recent and then relevant. What is the last piece of proof that you have in this arena that would directly lend to you doing this or not doing this? And I think for me, that's how it's always been. It's always like, I look at why did I bomb the second speech or the third speech I did? Because I did really well the one before. And I assumed, I don't have to prep. That was easy. That wasn't that bad, all things considered.
And you didn't correlate it was because of the prep.
No, I looked at the most recent relevant proof I had, and it was like, oh, that was actually better than I expected. This will be fine. Then it went worse. Then I said, okay, let me connect the dots. Why? Oh, I didn't prep. And then ever since then, I won't say ever, I mean, obviously I have off days, but it's never been to the point where I had kids do push-ups. It's never been to that point. But
yeah.
Even to that, it was the next one after that, Alan, it was like I struck out bad. I'm questioning myself. I remember telling you that if that was my first speech, I literally said this to you, Alan, if that was my first speech, I don't know that I would do another one. So that's kind of what I'm saying. It would have been my most recent and relevant proof. And I would have said, I literally forgot what I was talking about, and I made the kids come up and do push-ups. Like, that's not a good first speech. So, a little bit about me.
That's a dangerous game. I know we got to go here soon. It's a dangerous game, though, because what if, everybody strikes out sometimes. Yeah. Best baseball players in the world strike out. Mm-hmm. And if you're defining whether or not you're a good baseball player or not based on whether or not you strike out,
but you're not
going to be a baseball player for long.
That's the weird thing is, like, they have the belief. They have the belief that it almost doesn't matter what happened right before or last year or last week or last game. I am amazing at this. So I'm going to get this shot in, or I'm going to get this hit, or whatever it is. They have a high level of belief. So I think their most relevant proof is I am, like, what?
Yeah, but isn't that sometimes delusional?
Yeah. Yeah, but you'll take the shot. So you'll hit more.
Right.
I think that's why you and I are very different people, but you'll take more shots than me, so I think you'll naturally hit more. You know, I never would have
think
done
that when I take shots, I'll learn more because I'll take more shots, and
Yeah,
then
that's
I'll
true.
learn more distinctions because.
Yeah.
And I was talking, and then we got to go. I was talking to a podcaster. I went on a podcast recently with someone who was in group coaching, and it's an awesome interview, and I'm a huge fan of this guy. And we were talking afterwards, and he was asking me for genuine feedback. He's like, what do you think? Like, and be honest with me. Like, I just, you know, you've done a lot of this. Like, what do you think? Do you think I'm like a strong podcaster? And I said, the fact that you're actually asking me that question is proof that you're going to be a far better podcaster, because I know a lot of podcasters that think they're really great that really aren't. And because of that, they're not really trying to get that much better. Yeah. And so you're already on the right path. But what I said was this, I said, there's two podcasters. Imagine this. There's two podcasters. One podcaster doesn't think they're that great, but is playing for the long game and makes it to 1,000 episodes. And they try to get better each episode. The other podcaster just thinks they're already a great speaker and only ends up getting a couple hundred episodes. Who's a better podcaster at the end of that journey? And he said, the first person. I said, yeah, that's you. Just keep going and trying to get better each episode. And he's like, yeah, I listen back to every one and I hate it. I know. I said, of the 1,000 episodes Kevin and I have done, 1,000 plus now, how many do you think we got off feeling like we did really well? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, honestly, very rarely. Very rarely. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect episode.
Yeah.
You know, and those live podcasts, there it is. There's the mistake. Those live podcasts in particular, the most humbling thing in the world.
Yeah, very challenging.
And every time we get off, we're like, oh, you know, we did this, and this wrong. And we give ourselves some wins too. But I think that there needs to be this deep understanding in advance that you're not going to ever get off the microphone and be like, oh, I said that really well. I did an awesome job. Unless you really didn't believe in yourself enough to begin with. I mean, I know your first speech went better than you thought, but that's because you thought you were going to suck.
That was a pretty good speech.
My speeches, what's up? Yeah, it was really
pretty good. I mean, it was good.
No,
it wasn't
strong.
like it wasn't like it was bad.
No,
you know,
it wasn't bad. But if you imagine going in thinking you were going to be great.
Oh, I would have been jeffed.
Now you would have been like, oh, that wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So no matter what, action's the level set. Action is going to tell you whether or not, and it's all relative to what you believed prior. Right? If you think you're going to get a hole in one and you end up hitting it in 3 shots, you think you suck, when in reality you just had the wrong expectation, and 3 shots is great.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's really important to just become hyper-conscious. Hyper-conscious of this process. And ask yourself, is this building my belief? Or is this tearing my belief down? Or am I stuck? Because the only wrong answer is to stay stuck, to not take action.
And think about it as if you were giving somebody else advice. If somebody came to you and said, I don't believe I can do this. And you said, how many times have you done it before? And they said, oh, I've never done it. It's like, well, of course you don't believe you can do it. Your expectations are you don't know what you're doing. You don't believe it's possible. It's fairly normal for me, like, to think that. It's like, yeah, of course. If you gave me a hot air balloon and said, can you fly this thing safely? I would not believe I could do it. Right? But if I did, then I probably would. I'd probably say, yeah, I could. Because I think that's where we connect things. It's like, I said this recently. I used to drive a truck back in the day. We've been talking a lot about my old jobs lately. And my boss asked me one day, he's like, hey, can you drive a stick shift truck? And I said, yeah, I think so. I have a stick shift car. It can't be that much different. You know, but I was looking at the most recent relevant. I drove a stick shift here. I mean, it can't be that much different. But it wasn't. It was actually pretty easy, all things considered. So, but if I had never driven a stick before, I would have said, no, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to crash this thing. So I really, really, really look into what are you getting for proof? What are you using as proof? It's almost like you're looking at past events for approval, so you know that you can do this event. Okay, speaking of events. So this is a very humbling moment for Alan and I. So Alan and I like to, I don't want to say we like to seem next level, because obviously that is who we're attempting to be. might oftentimes sound like we have everything together and we're always crushing it and we're always winning and things are always amazing. But just like everybody else, when Alan and I take shots, oftentimes we miss, sometimes we overshoot, and we have to make changes. So we were going to hold our first annual retreat on Labor Day weekend. We were going to hold it in Maine, and we had everything planned out. And Alan and I took a step back today and really looked at the state of the business, the state of the podcast. I mean, we went from having, I don't know, I think we probably 3 or 4x the amount of clients we have. Our team has tripled or quadrupled in the last couple of years, 7 episodes a week. All of this other stuff we're doing, and
24 departments.
24 departments. Yeah, there's just so many new things that we want to make sure that when we do this, we can do it 1,000,000%, and it can be the best experience for everybody. And quite frankly, we don't like to half-ass things, and I feel like our attention is being pulled in many, many, many different directions. So what we're going to do, the retreat that was supposed to happen Labor Day 2022, we're going to move to Labor Day 2023. If any of you who have purchased tickets want to make any changes and say, you know what, that doesn't work for me, I want my money back, we'll give you your money back. If any of the people who purchased tickets say that's perfect, let's just keep doing that, cool, awesome, nothing changes. But we want to come on here and just say that, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to do big things, when you're trying to stretch beyond what you're currently capable of, sometimes you're going to crack some eggs. And rather than cracking eggs with people when they spend their hard-earned money to come out there, we figured, you know what, we'll crack the eggs on our own accord. I guess I'm just going to stick with that analogy. And we'll just humbly accept the fact that right now is not the right time. We will tuck our tails, and we will make sure that when it is time, we can provide 1,000,000% value like we always try to.
We will come back stronger for sure. We have been humbled in 2022. And I would just say this. I think that my optimism for what we are capable of in 1 year, definitely in light of this episode, belief comes from proof. Take action. You're either going to get humbled or you're going to get more belief. I've been humbled. The team's been humbled. Kevin's been humbled. And sure, we bit off more than we can chew intelligently is what I'll say. So yes, we could have made it happen. Yes, we could have failed forward, failed early, failed often, but we don't want to fail at the expense of our partnerships. We don't want to fail at the expense of our community. We want to fail at the expense of ourselves if we are going to fail forward. And so we're going to do this thing, and we're going to do it right, and we're going to do it up to the highest possible next level standard. And so we're going to drag and drop the retreat into 2023 instead of 2022. That said, we are still doing the $100 gift card for all reviews. We do read every single one of those reviews. If you are on my Instagram or my Facebook, you see those reviews coming through the story. Please, 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 if you've gotten value from this show, I believe that the world needs more people who are into personal development, and we want to help guide people. We want to help people. If you've gotten value from this show, please write us a review. We will. You can screenshot that, send it to Kevin, myself, send it to the emails. Everything's in the show notes, and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card.
It's super easy, too. If you have any thoughts of like, oh, this is going to be, like, how am I going to get the money? Are they going to have to, do I need to send my address or my cell phone number? Excuse me. No, I literally, when we pick a winner, I go on Amazon, I type in gift card, it pops up, I enter your email address and hit send. And it goes straight to your email address, and that's it. So it's very, very simple. Then you claim it, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So our goal is to make it as easy as possible, and this isn't like our way to, get on a call with you or anything like that. It's very much, I appreciate the review. Thank you so much. Here's $100. That's pretty much it. It's very low key and yeah, it's very simple. So I want to throw that out there. All right.
Yeah, you got to go down the street. You're going to see a guy in a yellow trench coat. He's going to take you to the Amazon gift card.
We just need name, address, social security number, keys to your vehicle, and your license. Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1009. It is last week's live podcast, How to Better Prioritize Your Time. I have already, behind the StreamYard room that we're using, I have Domino's website up, and I have my pizza chosen, and it is customized to my macronutrients because Alan and I are still doing our cut. So after this, I will be ordering pizza and watching UFC. It has been a long week. As always, we love you. We appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. We couldn't do it without you. And then also shout out to everybody who donated to the Next Level Hope Foundation, which we're recording this on Saturday. Tomorrow will be our first event. Very, very grateful for each and every one of you. At NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.